Hello Marmalade developers. This is an intro on how to get started with Marmalade. So first thing, check out our docs for Marmalade and you'll find under resources a link to Marmalade. Okay, so you're going to download the Marmalade SDK, install that, get all your license set up. And then once that's done, you're going to check out the OUYA SDK examples, which are going to include the ODK extension, a virtual controller example, and an in-app purchase example. Once you've checked out the OUYA SDK examples, you'll see the Marmalade subfolder, so in the Marmalade engine. Within the Marmalade engine, there's the in-app purchase example, the Marmalade ODK extension, and the virtual controller example. Alright, so first we want to go into the Marmalade ODK. Alright, and there's some files here. The files that we're interested in are first this ODK Android Java. That's going to compile the Java code, and basically we double click this file. It's pretty fast, and that will compile the Java source. The next step is to run ODK_Android mkb, and this will compile our C++ part of the plugin. It builds the extension, pops up a little window, and once that exits, you're done with the Marmalade ODK, and you're ready to use the other examples. Okay, so back to the Marmalade engine, we can go right into in-app purchases, and you'll see this, another MKB file. So what this is, if we look at it in TextPad, it's basically a file that links to some of the ODK classes for accessing gamer info, the product, and receipts. And then basically it lists all your C++ files and the extensions that you're using for drawing and linking to the ODK extension. Also, you have this asset section where it's telling it to use the data folder and the signing key that you get from the developer portal. You need that for any in-app purchase examples. Another key part is the name of your game or app and the caption that displays and play sections. And another important part is your package identifier. So you want to set that and make sure that matches with your signing key and the developer ID that you're going to use in the game. Okay. Given this MKB file, we're going to double click that and it's going to open up Visual Studio. Now, the first thing that you want to do is you've got all these build targets. So when it runs on the OUYA, it's using the ARM targets, debug and release. So I'll start with debug and build that. Okay. And build the release target. Okay. Once you've built the debug and release targets for ARM, then you need to run this GCC x86 Android debugger release. So I'm going to hit Control F5 or build and run. Yes, build it. Okay. And now it highlights the things that we built. So we built these two targets for the ARM for debug and release. Let's go with debug. And then you hit this next stage button. Default configuration is fine. Now on select platforms, you want to choose Android. Next stage. Okay, and now the do options, you want to do package, install, and run. Deploy all. And that's going to build the in-app purchase example, install it to the OUYA, and it's going to run it. Okay, now that it's launched on the OUYA, here we can use our controller. The gamer info is available. We can request receipts. We can request a list of products. We can purchase the selected product. Now if I hit cancel, you'll see there's a status message below that says we've canceled, or we can purchase. And now you can see there's the success status message. Okay, and if I hit the menu button, it detects the pause. Okay, so that's the in-app purchase example. If we go back to the Marmalade engine folder here, and we go to the virtual controller example, You'll again see an MKB file. If you look at this in TextPad, it links to the ODK extension. It has some callbacks where we set the developer ID, our main application, and a sprite class for displaying virtual controllers. There's this data folder here because it has data assets. So let's look at that really quick. Here's where we set up all the controller images for the virtual controller example, which will highlight each of these images. Will toggle visibility. When we release, they'll go away. Okay, so back in virtual controller, I'll double click the MKB file, and that will open the virtual controller example in Visual Studio. Again, as before, select the ARM targets to build. This time I'm going to build the release version. Okay, build succeeded. And then I'm going to launch the GCC x86 Android release. And run that. Build it, yes. Okay, that launches the Made with Marmalade dialog. Pick the ARM release. Next stage, default configuration. Next stage, select the Android platform. Next stage, pick package, install, and run, and deploy all. And that will build the application. It will install it to the OUYA, and it will launch on the OUYA. Okay, success. Now, one thing about this stuff is you can leave this dialog open when you're doing development. And then if you go back to Visual Studio, you want to switch your build target back to the ARM version, whether you're doing debug or release. If I build to the same target, the GCC ARM release, now I can go back to this dialog that's still open and hit deploy all, and it will deploy my latest changes. That way you don't have to use the target, switch back to the Android target, run it, go back to the ARM, whatever. Just stay on the GCC ARM release, compile changes. You can keep redeploying your changes with the Made with Marmalade dialog. Okay, now back over to the OUYA. Here we go, and if I use my controller. Okay, now on the OUYA, here's our virtual controller example running with Marmalade. And as I hit the various buttons, the virtual controller will toggle visibility. And also, this is using OUYA Everywhere input now. Even though I'm using an Xbox 360 controller, it's highlighting as if it's an OUYA controller. And that means after I've deployed my Marmalade app to the store, if we add support for any new controllers or devices, you'll automatically support those new devices without needing to rebuild your app or game. Alright, this is an intro to Marmalade support, and thanks for watching.